So, just to preface, guys, I've just recorded the entire preview podcast, clicked on Instagram, and we have Alistair Clarkson is stepping away from the club for his physical and emotional well-being. I'm just going to blindly react to this because I haven't had time to think about it. This is wild. Maybe I'll read the statement here. Effective immediately, North Melbourne Football Club senior coach Alistair Clarkson will step away from the club to focus on his physical and emotional well-being. Current club assistant and former AFL senior coach Brent Ratton will take on the role of senior coach in the interim. The club is providing its full support to Alistair, and we commend him for making his important decision to put his health first, said Sonia Hood. Everyone involved has been deeply affected by the Hawthorn investigation, and the burden on Alistair has been significant. We will give Alistair whatever time he needs to restore his health and look forward to welcoming him back when he is fully fit. We have strong leaders at our club who will step up and support and coach our team while Alistair spends time focusing on his health. We are fortunate to have someone of Brett Ratton's experience and capability to coach the team in the interim. The club asks that the media respects the privacy of Alistair and his family during this time. Wow. This is breaking literally within the last half an hour. How do I feel about this? Well, bad. Clearly, all throughout the last couple of weeks, a lot of people have asked Clarkson what he is going through, and everyone said, look, it's not affecting me. You wouldn't even know what's going on at the club. A lot of the players have said. Clearly, and obviously I don't want them to tell the truth in that scenario, but clearly that hasn't been the case. Is this a reason why our form has been so bad? Possibly. Look, Brett Ratton is a fantastic second option. So I don't feel awful about Brett Ratton coaching us in the meantime. Can this team afford to have no Clarkson there right now? No. I don't really know what else to talk about with it right now, guys, to be honest with you. My feeling on it is that is more going to develop around this? Is the case heating up and something is going on? Probably to step away from the club like he is. I guess we've just got to wait for any developing news, but that's basically the situation. Clarkson is stepping away for we don't know how long. I hope he gets better, feels better, comes back to the club when the time is right, because we're all going to be here for him. And look, hopefully we get a new coach bounce against Sydney. We had it with Richmond last year, so let's just hope for that on the weekend. But look, let's get behind Brent Ratton. Let's give Alistair Clarkson his space. Geez, the poor North Melbourne. What else does our club have to go to, honestly? Anyway, that's my blind sort of thoughts on it. I really didn't get any time to think about that, guys. It was literally mid-podcast. I saw that pop up on Instagram when I was checking your viewer comments. So that's as raw as it gets. Anyway, I'm going to put the preview podcast starting now after this. Listen to all that. Just remember, the rest of the podcast from here on in is not me knowing any of that Clarkson stuff. So, wow, what a morning. Enjoy the rest of the preview podcast and stay strong, guys. We'll get there. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for tuning in once again. We're going to do a preview for the Swans game coming up on the weekend. Is this one we could win? If we didn't have the amount of injuries, I would say, yeah. Maybe not win, but we can definitely compete and show something. Unfortunately, right now, North Melbourne is in an injury crisis. Similar to that than a West Coast. You know what I mean? Maybe not quite as bad, but I'm just going to read through some of the injuries on the injury list. This is our current injury list anyway. Jackson Archer with a groin, 1 to 2 weeks. Bonner with a quad, a test, it doesn't matter anyway. Charlie Comben, obviously we know he's out for 8 to 10 with his ankle. LDU, 3 to 5 weeks. I hate that. We need him on the park so bad. Braden George, knee, we already knew that. Josh Goda, I'd love to see him back in this side. 3 to 4 weeks with a knee. Jack Marnie, out for the season, shoulder. Flynn Perez, concussion, 1 week. Darcy Tucker, hamstring, 1 week. Tristan Jerry, ankle, 3 to 5 weeks. Lockie Young apparently has a concussion with 1 week. And Zerha with his cheekbone. Should only be 1 week, we hope. there's some pretty crucial players. I think, Zerha, arguably Jerry, arguably Tucker, Goda, Davies Jr., Comben, maybe a Jackson Archer are all in our best 22. But LDU is our best player by far. Zerha is our most dynamic player by far. And Comben, we need help in that forward line. So, yeah, they're all pretty big outs for us, and we're definitely a team that can't afford to basically have any injuries, to be honest. So before we get into what I think the team should be and what happens this week, I just want to say thank you again to Marnie Cohen, who came on the podcast on Monday. If you haven't listened to that podcast, guys, please go back. We do all the hard-hitting questions surrounding North Melbourne right now. We have a good debate, actually, about Taron Thomas and where we stand on that. Will Ben Mackay leave? What's Jai Simkin and Luke McDonald's captaincy looking like? It is a long one. It does go for an hour and 50 minutes, which we had no idea. But we just talked back and forth, had a great conversation, some good debates, and it's absolutely worth a listen. So if you haven't gone and listened to that last podcast, please do. It's a banger. So what happens this week? There's going to have to be a lot of changes, and not all for injury for me. The players I've got coming out of this side, and I'll just let everyone know now, this is the team that I would like. I'd love to be able to record this podcast after, the teams are announced on the Thursday night. My work schedule sometimes doesn't permit that, So this is just the team that I personally would like to see, not what I think Clarkson will pick. If it was what Clarkson will pick, I'm sure Turner and Howell are making their way back into this team somehow, which is a terrifying thought and could genuinely happen. But these are the changes that I would like to see this week. So, out's going to come LDU, Zerha, Perez, Tucker, Marnie, and Core. 5 of those are injuries. Core is suspended. And Curtis Taylor, it's time, unfortunately. I like the thought of Curtis Taylor, and I hope he goes back to the VFL and gets some form and some confidence. But he was shocking on the weekend. Perez would have been coming out of this team if he didn't get injured or concussed. Marnie for me as well. And I guess the big one, or the bigger talking point, is Aiden Core. I've been pretty vocal about not wanting Core in the team. 3 bigs back in our back line is too many. It makes us too slow. And I don't like putting Logue in the forward line when we've got a CCJ there who obviously showed his worth. So I'm excited to kind of see what the team is like without Aiden Core in that back line. Kane Corns had some big criticism of Aiden Core on the weekend, and I think North fans, when we watched that, we all sort of was like, we hate Kane Corns, and I don't think there's a bigger wanker in the media, but he's not wrong. Like, Aiden Core, for being on a 5-year deal, apparently on $700,000 a year, is an absolute robbery. I think he's got 2 years left on his deal. Let's just get that done and move on from this guy. Or if you can get him on a cheaper deal and he wants to hang around and be like a fringe defender, great. Once again, I don't want to be too harsh, but I also want to say how I feel about it. It's obviously never anything personal, but just on-field stuff. If Mackay leaves and it's Core and Logue, I don't feel good about that as well. So it'd be very interesting to see what it's like with Core. In that thing, he did bring up Griffin Logue's contract. I think that was crazy, and that's just him being Kane Corns. Griffin Logue getting a 5-year deal. I think they said $500,000 a year. That is completely fine. He's been a really good defender for us, and the ability to go forward is handy. So putting that in that little news report from Kane Corns was idiotic, but we know that's what he does. But the Aiden Core thing, completely fair enough. So who comes in? So that's 7 people I've got going out. 6 of those have to go out. And Curtis Taylor is the one I would drop on form alone. Who would I bring in? It's time to bring in George Wardlaw. I know that people, want to be cautious with him, but if he's not on that injury list, he's fine. It's time to bring in Wardlaw. The fans need a spark. The fans need something to grab onto here. We've had the Sheasel hype. Shees is a machine. we need the Wardlaw hype. This is what's going to get us down to the game on Saturday. Eddie Ford comes in. It's about time he gets a chance, I think. He kicked 3 in the VFL a couple of weeks ago. He's been okay at AFL level as well. He's got a lot of talent, and I think he's a good replacement for Zerha. So Eddie Ford needs to get his chance. Tom Powell, come back in. I didn't like his form the last couple of weeks before he got hurt, but he's got some potential, and his preseason was very good. So Tom Powell probably comes back into that side. Ben Cunnington comes back for me. It was a 50-50 if he gets dropped, but, with the injuries we've got, a guy of that talent or that ability needs to come back in if he's not in his best form. Doesn't matter for me. I'd like to see Cooper Harvey get a run. Kicked 4 in the same game that Eddie Ford kicked 3. I've said this before, but we just need some true shin boners in this team. That's why I want to see Harvey and Archer on this park. I'd bring in Cooper Harvey and just give him a run, even if he's the sub. And CCJ, Callum Coleman-Jones, comes in after bagging 9 in the VFL. I'd be very excited to see him against an undermanned Swans team, but we'll get that. We'll get to that in a second. There's some other guys. Callan Dawson, I guess, maybe is a like-for-like for Core if Clarkson seems to want to keep doing that. When I watched Dawson play last year, I think he was actually better kind of as a halfback and transitioning the ball off halfback, even though he's the size of a key defender. I thought he was pretty poor one-on-one, Callan Dawson, last year, but him transitioning the ball and moving the ball was actually pretty good. But I'd like to see him get a run, but I don't think he will. Aaron Hall would be a good replacement for Perez. I think we need one more person to come into this team. So I thought Lockie Young, but he is 1 week with concussion. I guess Aaron Hall comes into the team. I'm trying to think who else could really come in. I mean, obviously Taron Thomas is there. I would like to see Taron Thomas in this team, but I think we need a press conference. I think we need to hear from Taron maybe. I think we need to hear from Clarko about this, or Sonia, or somebody. Some public just, what's the right word here? Talk about what's been going on and how you're feeling. You don't have to break down exactly what you've done. I trust Sonia and Jen and Todd Viney and all those people to tick him off, but we need some, I don't know. We need to hear something about this a little bit more before you just throw him in and don't say anything. I don't want to grill him. I don't want people to be like, what did you do? What about this? What about that? But just talk to us about it, So I don't think Thomas comes in yet. I think it causes too much of a media stir at the moment. So I'll say Hall comes back in, but, don't feel great about that. I wanted Aaron Hall in this team at the start of the year, and I'll hold my hands up and say that was a stupid call. But he is experienced, and we've got so many kids in there. So I'll just repeat that. LDU, Zerha, Perez, Tucker, Marnie, Taylor, and Core come out of the team. Wardlaw, Ford, Hall, Powell, Cunnington, Harvey, and CCJ come into the team for me. So that's my personal picks, not what I think Clarko will go. What I think Clarko will do, I could absolutely see Daniel Howe come back into this team. Absolutely. That's probably it. Kane Turner, I could see him putting him back in as well, unfortunately. But, I guess about 8 p.m. tonight we're gonna find out, which scares me. But anyway, so we're going on to the Swans. They're a little bit undermanned in key position players at the moment. I think both McCartan brothers have tests, concussions or something, or an ankle. But there's a lot of other key position players that they don't have. And I think, that's maybe an area where we can maybe exploit them if we were to get on top. Do I think we'll win this game? No, I don't. I don't know if I really believe unless we play Hawthorn or West Coast. But I think that's fair enough criticism at the moment for the team. The Swans aren't looking great this year, though. I mean, they're 14th, we're 16th. So it's not a massive gap. And if we had LDU and Zerha in this team, maybe just those two, I think we could definitely do it. But we don't have those guys, and they're so dynamic to our team. The one space we could exploit them is maybe with a Nick Larkey, a CCJ going down to the goal square without much key position talent for the Swans at the moment. The thing to watch out for, though, would be they're clearly going to go smaller in their forward line. So do we have the smaller defenders to be able to counter them? Now, usually we've got Core, Logue, Zeeble, and Mackay down back. Now, that is a very unagile, tall. Zeeble sort of plays more as a tall than a small sort of back line. And with a Goda, well, not a Goda, what's his name? Bergman, sorry, and a Sheasel off halfback. We need more run and speed than that. And that's why I'm hoping that we do go a smaller forward line because of the Swans' lack of tall depth at the moment. We need a Luke McDonald to step up this week on someone like a Heaney. Other small defenders for us, I don't know. I don't see Bergman as a tagging defender. Sheasel definitely not. This is why I'm concerned maybe a Bonner could come into the team and tag like one of the smaller guys. I don't know. But I think they're going to go with a smaller forward line. So we need to watch out for that because we have had so many issues with small forwards in the past. So getting Core out of that team and replacing him with a smaller guy, I don't hate that, and I think that'll be better against the Swans. As for the midfield, I mean, look, Cunnington, Simpkin, if Wardlaw plays rolling through there, we got a decent midfield, but it was atrocious last week. Goldie dominated those hit-outs, but the guys couldn't get a clearance. So they need to step up and do that, but without a Zerha or an LDU in that midfield, I'm not feeling too confident, to be honest. Paul Curtis went into the midfield last week and actually looked all right. Getting him around the ball a little bit more to get his confidence up, and that's something I would probably experiment with this week as well. What else can we really do? We just got to keep trying to build this game plan and try and transition the ball quickly. Buddy has never been a big marking forward, so I'm not too scared about the Swans just launching it in. Mackay, would you play Logue or Mackay on Buddy? I don't know, because I think Logue's more agile, quicker. And I think that's probably a better matchup for Buddy. And then Mackay can just sort of roam around the back and try and intercept. That's what I'd do there. Midfield, we just need to outwork them and get that ball forward. Like I've said a billion times, please lower your eyes and try and hit Larky on the chest. We saw last week when you lower your eyes and hit Larky, he'll kick goals. But I do feel better about them sort of just launching the ball a little bit if CCJ is, hovering around that goal square or 30 metres out sort of area. He's 2 metres, the dude's huge, and he's going to get some confidence from that VFL performance. So, look, I'm almost talking myself into we could do something here, and I don't want to be like that. But look, who knows what's going to happen. We really just want to see the effort. We want to see the game plan coming together. We want to see some guys, pushing for spots and pushing for selection to try and build some depth on this list. I really hope CCJ has a big game or at least is productive. I'd love to see him in this team. And look, without being too harsh, I am glad Perez, Marnie, and Core are coming out of the team. I'd love to see what we look like without them. Curtis Taylor as well. Look, I would like Curtis Taylor to be part of this team. Is he going to be dropped because of the injuries? I don't think so, but personally, I think his game was not very good on the weekend. So it'd be interesting. Will Taron Thomas play? I don't think so. But would I hate to see him in there? No, I would not. If you bring him and Wardlaw back into the team, that would be pretty exciting, and they're incredibly talented, A-grade talented players, which is something we should hang our hat on at the moment. But look, it's probably not time for Taron Thomas just yet. And like I said before, would love a press conference just to know where everything's at and maybe make us as fans and a supporter base feel more comfortable. Okay, a prediction for the game. Oh, God. I don't know. I'll say Swans win by 24 points. I think we have like a St Kilda-esque game here. So that's maybe what I'll tip, but I don't feel great about it. I would absolutely love George Wardlaw to debut. Please, Clarko, please get him on this park. That'll get us excited this weekend. But yeah, what more can you say about that? So lastly, we're just going to read a few of the viewer comments here. I did ask who you want to come in and out of the team. So Glenn Lavender says CCJ for Logue, For Logue. Logue out. No. Stop that. Ford for Marnie. Yep. Hall for Perez. Phillips for LDU. Cunnington just because. Phillips for LDU is an interesting one. I didn't put Phillips in the people I want in. I think he needs a run in the VFL for his confidence. So that's maybe where I stand on that. The Logue shout's wild. Glenn, love you, mate. But my word, we can't afford another key position player to go down. Jesse Stevenson, Logue will go back in defence. Inns, CCJ, Ford, Cunnington, Wardlaw, Spicer. Give him a run of games. And Hall, Phillips, Howe, or Dawson for sub. Howe with the vomiting emoji next to it. Brad Jamison, Wardlaw is a must at this point. With CCJ an almost certainty and Clarko finally having an excuse to not play core, Logue can head down back, where he belongs, and Aaron Hall should make his way back into the side to support with Sydney's small forward line. I don't disagree with that. Outside of that, I'd like to see Cooper Harvey get a run. Jeez, we got the same thoughts here, Brad. As the sub, Cunners should slot back into the middle, and this would be a good game to see if Will Phil can get his spot back. Yeah, I'm 50-50 on Will Phil. I haven't really seen it with him yet, I guess. But look, I wouldn't hate to see him back in either. Justin Smith, CCJ, Powell, Wardlaw, Spicer, and Ford in the starting side. Lazaro sub. Jackson Bates, CCJ, Ford, Cunners, Wardlaw. I'd rather play one down than with Hall. Oh, that's harsh. James Duke, it'll be CCJ, Ford, Wardlaw, Hall. We've all got the same sort of things. We'd prefer Thomas, though. Yeah, I think we all feel like that. Powell and Phillips with Spicer sub again, just as long as no Turner or Howe. Couldn't agree more. Michael Negri, CCJ for Core, Hall for Perez, Cunners for LDU, Spicer for Marnie, Phillips for Zerha, Wardlaw for Tucker, Ford as sub. Don't disagree with that. Probably would start Ford, maybe Spicer sub, but look, is what it is. Powell a week in the twos or one more week. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, I guess. But Powell, yeah, once again, he's kind of like Phillips for me. Just sort of 50-50. If he comes in, I'm happy with it. If not, get his confidence. We need one of go to Archer, Young, or Perez back in so we have speed out of the backs. We are so slow down there. Will Phil should get 4 weeks to prove himself in the ones. Spicer showed some glimpses. Give him a go. Perez should never be in this side again for me. He just butchered the ball so badly and I've never seen it. It's weird with Lockie Young. I wonder where he's gone. I agree with Gocher and Archer. Will Phil getting a run. I think he needs more VFL time and we'll give him a run back half of the year. He's got to know he can't just come back into the side without performing. And yeah, Spicer showed glimpses. We're at the point now we may as well. Jared Gilbert, out Clarko in Ratton. That's enough of that, Jared. But he's also said Core for CCJ, LDU for Cunnington, Zerha for Harvey or Ford. I think both those guys should come in. Marnie for Spicer or Turner. Oh, someone's put Turner. Perez for Hall. Tucker for Howe. No, Jared. Or Powell. Okay, we'll go with Powell. Hopefully not Turner. Okay, sorry, I didn't read this bottom bit. Hopefully not Turner or Howe, but could also see them being selected. I could absolutely see them being selected, which, to be honest with you guys, is the most terrifying thing. We'll head over to Instagram now. Paul Petruccelli. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. Need Eddie Ford and CCJ. Probably Bonner for core as well. Reece Delaney. Eddie Mazda. Cooper Smith. Wardlaw, CCJ. Ford, Powell, Howe, Phillips, Sub Spicer. Jack Crow 6. I think it'd be a mistake to bring TT back in the next 2 to 3 weeks. He needs to truly earn his spot. I agree. Brad.Edwards.7526. CCJ, Wardlaw, Cunnington, Thomas, Ford, Bonner. Yeah, Bonner and Thomas, maybe not. Tommy Harris 4. A lot of forced changes with injuries. CCJ in, Wardlaw in for debut. Elvis and Cunners. Bryden Niles, CCJ, Wardlaw, Cunners, Ford, Hall, Phillips. We all seem to have the same sort of thoughts here. He says it improves the side a lot. Riley Masterson 14. CCJ, Eddie Ford, Callan Dawson, wouldn't mind seeing him, Wardlaw and Cooper Harvey, or Taron Thomas. So thank you for your thoughts, guys. Thank you for your comments. Look, let's get down to the game if we can. Support the guys. They might pull off a miraculous win. So, yeah, let's get behind them. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday morning. Thanks, and we'll see you then.